Hey everybody, this is Cameron from the United Coalition of the Living, and today I'm going to be doing a video on probably one of the most important items you can have in your survival kit, and that is knives. Knives are an incredibly important tool. They've been around for forever. I'm not going to go into the history of knives through humanity or whatever. That would just be boring, and well, I don't want to do it. But I am going to show you guys though a system that I've developed for survival, hiking, camping, hunting. Anytime I go out in the woods, this is a setup that I always have with me, and it's always ready to go for my my bailout bag and everything. It's something that every time I use it, I'm always impressed with just how well these two things complement each other. And I just want to throw it out there as a recommendation for you guys. If you're interested in getting your kit all set up, or you're interested in learning how to survive out in the woods, this is a decent knife setup that you might be happy with. I know I've been incredibly happy with the way it performs. So without further delay, let's get into it. First knife I'm going to show you guys, it should be your primary knife. It's the knife that you're going to be doing most of your everyday tasks with in a survival situation. Let's think of a couple tasks that you would need a knife for. Splitting wood. I mean, if you don't have an axe, you can. If you use a bigger knife or whatever, you can split through wood through a process of batoning. And it's basically you take a larger, more seasoned stick, and you basically beat your knife through the wood, splitting it, using your knife as a wedge. So that would be a use you might have. Game processing, whether processing game that you've killed or trapped or something that you need to skin it, gut it, anything like that. You need a knife that will stand up to that. Opening things. Another thing you might need your knife for is a defensive situation. You want a knife that you'd be able to protect yourself with from in a survival situation, looters, attackers. In a survival situation out in the wilderness, if you don't have a firearm or any other kind of weapon with you, you can use your primary knife as a form of self-defense. So let's take a look at what I use. I'm not saying that this is the best knife you can use for this situation. It's just one that I got and I like it. And let me show you what it is. Knife I use for when I'm out in the woods is this guy. I kind of got it because it served a couple functions for me. I'm into a couple things. I like to camp. I like to go hunting, and I also like to practice some wilderness survival using very minimalistic stuff. Some people refer to it as bushcraft. I don't know. It's something fun. It's going out with a minimal amount of tools and just seeing what you can do and how you can survive. And this is a knife that I like. It's relatively new. It's not really worn in because I've had another knife that I used. I got this about 6 months ago, and it's winter, so I haven't been able to put much miles on it. But this right here is a K-Bar Hunter. It's got a nice leather sheath, thick leather, so you can throw it on your belt. You can carry it with ease. It snaps in place, so it's not that difficult to get out or what have you, or stow away. And there's the knife blade on it. It's long. It's not like your normal K-bars that a lot of military personnel would be used to, where they have the longer blade. They're designed for combat and fighting purposes. This one isn't like that. You could definitely use it. Like I said, you want a knife that you could also deploy, God forbid, in a self-defense kind of situation. You could use this knife for that, but it's not what its primary goal is. The primary goal of this knife is that it's a hunting knife. You can use it. It's got a really razor sharp edge on it. It's got just enough length to be useful, but not, it's not too long where it's cumbersome and annoying, and it's bulky and clumsy. It's a very this knife. The best way I can describe it is that it has a lot of finesse for the size, and it's American made. K-bar knives, if you guys aren't familiar with them, are excellent quality knives. They just last a long time. I've been very happy with it. It's a little bit longer, like I said, so you can. Oh, sorry, I just hit the camera there. Got a little excited. But yeah, this is my primary knife. It serves the function. You can baton with it. Like I mentioned, batoning is just splitting a wood lengthwise. You can cross-cut logs with, your larger utility knife. You can use it for self-defense situations. It's just, they serve a nice function, and they're also not that heavy. So, if you have to travel long distances on a long day, you're not going to, this isn't like carrying an axe where you're going to have, 5 pounds strapped to you or whatever. It's a couple ounces. Well, not a couple ounces. Your larger fixed blade knives, they are heavy, but they're not as heavy as, say carrying an axe or a maul or a little hatchet or something like that. Also, on all of my survival knives, any knife that I'm going to use if I'm out in the wilderness, I always attach a paracord lanyard to it, just because you learn when you're making a shelter out there that having cordage is like gold. You can never have enough cordage, and so paracord is incredibly tough. You can use it for a lot of different purposes, and with this particular knot, you'll see them a lot on bracelets and whatnot. I've got one on my wrist here. But with this particular kind of braiding pattern or whatever, you can fit a lot of paracord on here. I think in this guy right here, I have close to about 12 to 15 feet. I could have made it longer, but I like it. So that is my primary knife. It's like I said, I've used this a lot in the woods, and they serve me well, and something I always recommend. If it's something to consider if you're trying to put together your knife for your survival kit. And I'll show you my old knife. This was actually given to me by my dad. It's an old Ontario pilot survival knife. My dad was in the Navy and in the Air National Guard, and so he gave it to me. This is an old pilot survival knife. It's got the saw back here that's designed. It's not a wood saw. Do not try to saw. If you have one of these knives, you'll probably know you can't saw through a log with it. It's what its design was for cutting through the aluminum on aircrafts to make your shelter, or if you needed to cut yourself out of a plane or something like that, you could with this. It would take a while, but that's what its function was. It's not a wood saw. It's more for rough cutting through metal. But you can see this knife has just been used and abused. It's the coating on it. These things usually come with a black coating on them. It's not on there anymore. It's got some patinaing that's starting to accumulate. The leather handle has seen a few days. It's I've used the edge there as a hammer and everything. This is a well-seasoned knife. You can even see with the sheath on it. I've used this thing for a billion different reasons, but I retired it this year because it's my dad's old knife that he gave me, so it's sentimental, and I want to be able to pass this on to my kids one day. So I retired it and got myself a new knife. And but like I said, it served me well for many years, and it's where I first got the I started believing in carrying a larger fixed blade knife for survival situations in my survival pack. So that's enough for fixed blade knives.